Hey, good morning, and how are you guys doing today? I hope amazing. So, we're back riding on Echoes of the Cosmic Veil. Hold on one second. I'm going to get up chat and we'll get right into things. I hope you guys are kicking butt in your personal lives. I'm doing pretty awesome myself, just to be honest. And I think we're about to have a pretty productive morning. And so, this next chapter that we'll be working on, I think it's pretty good. It might not be perfect, so I think we'll be able to actually knock through this pretty fast this morning. Um, Obviously, at 1,300 something words, it's not the smallest chapter, it's not the biggest either. So, we just woke up from our dreamlike state and inside the AI. Most of the dreamlike state was a fog where I was aware of something, where I was aware something was happening, but I had no way to understand it. Let's double check the spacing. Dun, dun, dun. Then the connection moved, connecting to the ship itself. I found myself floating through systems. I watched as Captain Coach and Akio greeted an incoming Vamratech ship. Then, as they docked and boarded, I no, we'll leave that as that. I like that. I watched through the ship systems as the heavily armed men boarded our ship and made their way to the bridge. Then the shouting came. I was not sure if it was the AI or Eric's residual presence within it. I did feel the panic though, as it said, "Wake up, they're here to kill you." I disconnected and got to my feet immediately, making sure to find my laser pistol in cyberdeck. Still gathering my thoughts and trying to put together how I would have connected to the ship systems while delving into the AI. Maybe it was just a dream, but it seemed very real. Okay, let's double check the spacing. Good, that looks good. So far this is looking okay. I do hope you guys are rocking this morning. I needed to make sure. I had to know. So, despite the risk, I used the ship's consoles in my quarters, establishing a direct link into the ship's systems. It only took me seconds to find out that the ship had docked. Then I patched into the bridge a security system where I could watch what was happening. Akio was arguing with four men who appeared to be corporate officers, backed up by six soldiers. The argument was tense, with the officers appearing to want Akio and Captain Coach to surrender us and the ship to them. It seemed Akio knew something was wrong with the situation as he accused them of being traitors and working for the Alamari. With that, the deception was up, as one of the officers told the others, "Looks like we have to eliminate them all." Two of the officers pulled laser pistols. Akio was fast, though, and was able to draw his pistol and kill them both before they got a shot off. At this point, everyone on the bridge was going for their weapons. Kyoto, seeing the chaos, pulled his weapon and began firing, taking out one of the corporate officers and two of the soldiers. Captain Coach seemed shocked by the betrayal. Um, Kyoto, seeing the chaos, pulled his weapon and began firing, taking out one of the corporate officers and two of the soldiers. Captain Coach seemed shocked by the betrayal, but pulled herself together, drawing her sidearm and taking out one of the soldiers as she moved to get to the command console. Akio was able to drop two more of the soldiers before he was hit by multiple blasts, leaving him slumped over one of the stations. As Kyoto cleared the remaining two enemies from the bridge, Captain Coach managed to sound the alarm to repel boarders before taking to the comms to let her crew know that they had been betrayed and to fight back. More soldiers poured into the room, and even though Captain Coach and Kyoto kept fighting, they were soon also taken down by the sheer numbers. As the fighting stopped, it was clear what would come next. I quickly disconnected, grabbed my laser pistol, and rushed out of my quarters to warn my friends. I got to Oren's quarters just as I heard the fighting erupt down a nearby corridor. Just as I heard the fighting erupt down a nearby corridor. Hold on. Okay. The commotion was coming from everywhere as fighting spread throughout the ship. Lucky, luckily, luck. I'm honestly not sure how to spell luckily. Luck, illy. Is that it? Is that it? No. Okay. Luckily, Orion had heard the alarm and came to the door ready for combat. I could tell in his eyes Orion was trying to figure out what had occurred. I was at a loss of how to explain the scale of the situation and said they are traitors. They are traitors working for the Alamari and they want to kill us. They already killed Akio. Okay, boom. I don't know if I'll leave that like that. They already killed Akio and the bridge crew. As we headed to the corridor to get the others, Salvador came around the corner. He had been hit in the arm, but was still holding a laser pistol. Oren went to Brandon's door just as he and Rory were coming out. Just as I made it to Sarah's quarters. Well, that's wrong. I don't know how I did this. What the heck is going on? Just as I made it to Sarah's quarters, she emerged to see what was happening. Salvador moved quickly over to us, saying, "They killed Bruno and tried to kill me. I went to Toby's door trying to get him, but he was not there. I hoped he was with the others in the medical bay. I knew we needed to get to the medical bay and get the rest of our friends before anything else could happen to them. I told... Period. I told Orion, but before we could move, soldiers came around the corner and began to fire. The first shot hit Orion in his armor, leaving only burn marks. As we started firing back, Sarah and Brandon were not armed and attempted to take cover. I managed to hit one of them in the throat, and he dropped to the ground, grasping it for a second before he went still. Rory cast some kind of spell on Orion and herself, seemingly accelerating them. Orion fired his plasma pistol with withering speed again and again, killing 4 of them and suppressing them from advancing on us. Double check this. Salvador moved to advance on them, killing one of them just before he was hit in the leg and fell to the ground. We had won briefly as the 2 remaining soldiers retreated back down the corridor, but we could hear them regrouping, and it sounded like more were massing for an attack. Okay, we'll pull this back. Sarah and Brandon pulled Salvador back behind us, and Brandon took his laser pistol. Sarah seemed to be trying to heal Salvador as well as she could. Then, as we heard another wave coming down the corridor, we formed up, taking better cover. As the next wave of men... Hold on one sec. I'm sorry about that. I'm kind of trying to track chat at the same time as going through this. Then, as we heard another wave coming down the corridor, we formed up. We formed up, taking better cover. As the next wave of men came, we managed to take them down with them only as the next wave of men came, we managed to take them down. Okay, as the next wave of men came, we managed to take them down. Is that barely? That is not barely. Hold on. Sorry, I'm going to check this. They barely made it by. Oh, that's correct. Never mind. Okay. For some reason, I was thinking that couldn't be correct the way it looked so easy. I don't know why. Okay. The next wave came hard around the corner and in mass. They managed to take positions, and fighting became fierce. As one of them rushed, I noticed him readying a grenade. Panic hit me for a brief seconds before I composed myself and took aim. Shooting. Shooting him down. I had stopped him just in time, and the grenade fell to the ground, detonating far enough away to be ineffective. Sadly, I had exposed myself and felt a hot, sharp pain as I got hit in the arm. I was not sure how bad it was yet, but I could smell the burnt flesh from my arm. The same smell now filling the hall from the others. Oren was also hit, but in the armor again. Absorbing. Now the fighting was getting more intense, and I could barely manage to use my arm, so I switched to shooting left handed. Suddenly, two soldiers dropped to the ground, blood pouring from their eyes. Then shots came from down the corridor, striking the remaining soldiers. It was Amelia, Mia, Blake, and Toby, along with some of the remaining crew members who had joined our side. They had arrived just in time to save us. When I turned back, I noticed Sarah slumped over Salvador. When I last looked, what the heck was I doing with this? When I last looked, Sarah had been shielding Salvador while she worked to heal him. The wound had been lethal. Sarah was hit once in the back and once in the side of her head during the fight. With all the chaos, I had not noticed, but she was at peace now. Okay, before I had time to say a word, Amelia said, Sam, you need to shut down the ship's controls while I deal with the other ship. We need to shut them both down or we're all dead. Boom. I was in a state of shock, but I still knew she was correct. I moved to the console in the corridor and leaned in. It only took me seconds this time to get in. It only took me seconds this time to get in. And I locked out the bridge the same way I had when Daniel had taken it over, shutting down all the systems and sealing the door. While I was in the system, I could feel Amelia moving through it into the other ship. I had never felt something so powerful, so alien to me. When I disconnected, Brandon, Blake, and Toby were standing over Sarah's body with a look of shock and anger. Amelia was disconnecting from Rory, and Rory, Kiara, and Mia were standing guard as Salvador lay unconscious from his wounds. Okay, so that's where we got to on chapter 19. Obviously, everybody's tore up, and the conflict has not been taken care of. So tomorrow, we will get to chapter 20. Super exciting there, right? And we will deal with that. I do want to thank you guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys for hanging out and showing up. I hope you're having a great start to the week. It looks like we're moving through this pretty swimmingly. I didn't see major things I want to change in that. I might reread through it later and see if I really am bothered by anything that I didn't pick up as it's 5 a.m. But it looks like we've got a pretty good chunk of this done. So we're down to 8 chapters left or some crap like that. And so this is going to be wrapped up real quick. Outside of that, you guys have a great morning. Peace and very best wishes.